You are listening to the Keep the Weight Off podcast with Dr. Angela, episode number 109.
Welcome to the Keep the Weight Off podcast, where we bust all the dieting myths and discover not just how to lose weight, but more importantly, how to keep it off. We go way beyond the food, and we use science and psychology to give you strategies that work. And now your host, Dr. Angela Zechmann.
All right. Hey, everyone, and welcome to the podcast this week. Welcome, Marshall. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I haven't seen you all weekend, so it's like...
Yeah, I know.
Seems weird when we haven't seen each other for a few days, doesn't it? It's like, oh, what's been going on for you?
Yeah. What have you been doing this weekend?
Oh, just relaxing, which has been great because that's what I needed. Took a hike and got hailed on.
Oh my goodness. I know. This weather is so weird right now.
This is spring in the Pacific Northwest. Like, there's absolutely no way to predict the weather. So you just dress for whatever you're going to get. So
right. I mean, in 5 minutes, it's going to be sunny, and then 5 minutes, it's going to be hailing and snowing. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows?
Who knows what's going to happen? Another thing I did, which I'm super proud of myself for, is I am working at training for a 5-mile race. And I ran 4 miles this last weekend, which is huge for me. You know, and it's a little bit humbling because we had a patient come in last week and she was telling me that, oh, yeah, I started running again. And she said, I ran 15 miles this week. And I'm like, what? She's
oh, my goodness.
Yeah,
I actually didn't know that you were training for that. That's really neat.
Yeah. We have a what's called the Capital City Marathon here in Olympia.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of it.
May. Mm-hmm. And they have a 5-mile race. I would never run any farther than a 5-mile race because my body's just not made for distances. But I did it like 20 years ago, and my timing was really good for somebody in their 40s. And so I thought, well, I'll try it again. 5 miles is a long way to run. I know. And so this patient of ours, that she was just like, oh, yeah, I just started running again, and I'm only running 5 miles, and it's just 3 times a week. And I'm just like, oh my God, like you have no idea what you're doing. And she says, well, you got to understand, I used to be a runner, you know, and I was just like, well, more power to you because
that is really impressive.
This is hard for the rest of us.
Yeah. I've never been a runner. My ankles are so weak that I would fall.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Definitely. Yeah, I've never been a runner. I am a swimmer. I used to be on the swim team when I was it was oddly enough, when I lived in Alaska in my junior year. Yeah, I was on the swim team. And I just have always, I did. When I was a junior
you lived
in high
in
school.
Alaska? Wow, that's really cool.
I did. Yeah, and I just really, I love swimming. When I go to the gym, that's what I do for cardio is I swim.
Wow. Well, yeah. I'm impressed with you because I can't swim. I mean, I can swim, but I don't enjoy it. And the reason is because I like to breathe when I want to breathe. And it was like every time I was like, I want a breath, but I can't. I'll suck in water and I would just feel like awful. So my sister swims. So.
Yeah, does she? Oh, yeah. I think it might have to do something with growing up in California. I don't know. I just spent a lot of time in the water. So I like to swim.
Oh, that's great. Well, whatever you like to do, those of you who are listening in on this, like do what you love to do, because they always say, what exercise should I do for the best weight loss? Well, exercise doesn't cause weight loss anyway. Exercise is just great for your mental and physical health. And if you can do whatever you want to do to challenge yourself and have fun, that's what matters, right? So
just do whatever makes you feel good.
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to talk this week about diet foods, because a lot of our patients come into the clinic and they think they're eating healthy and they're trying to lose weight and they're trying to make better choices. And they're absolutely baffled because they've made all these seemingly good changes in their eating habits, but the weight is not budging. So how often have we heard this story, Marshall?
Oh, this is so normal, like in everybody's like early weight loss journey. This just happens. This is so normal. And I mean, it happens to me. I mean, it still happens to me. Yeah. But this is very normal.
Yeah. Now, sometimes this is actually due to some metabolic abnormalities that need to be corrected. So, for example, insulin resistance. If you've got a lot of insulin resistance, sometimes it can be super hard to burn off fat. But sometimes the problem is that people are choosing foods that they think are healthy, but actually are not.
Yeah,
And
because of the
so,
sneaky food industry.
yeah. So that's why I wanted to go over some of these types of foods that we see that are actually sabotaging people when they think that they're eating really well. So many of these so-called diet foods are considered diet foods because they're low in fat, right? But I want you to think about it. If a food manufacturer takes fat out of food, it doesn't taste good at all. It tastes terrible because fat brings flavor to food. It brings texture to food. So without the fat, it's terrible. So the food industry will add sugar so that you'll like the taste and purchase their product. So many of us are so used to eating low-fat diet food with tons of sugar in it that we have no idea just how satisfying higher fat, lower sugar food can be. So what happens is when we eat these diet foods, all that sugar has to be metabolized, right? So the sugar gets absorbed into the bloodstream and taken up by the cells. And this is done using the hormone insulin. Now, we've all heard of insulin many times, right, Marshall?
Right. We talk about it a lot.
Exactly. So what organ produces insulin? It is your turn, Marshall. What organ produces insulin?
The pancreas.
The pancreas. And it produces insulin in just the right amount to bring the blood sugar back down to normal after we eat. But what's been going on for so many people who've been dieting for years and maybe even decades is that they've been eating this low-calorie diet food with tons of sugar in it, and they've been stressing out their pancreas because it requires so much insulin to process all that sugar. So I call this beta stress because it's the beta cells of the pancreas that are having to produce all that insulin. So I say, give your poor pancreas a break, not just so you can lose weight, but forever so that you can be a healthy person. Does that make sense?
I always, whenever we talk about this, I just always feel so sorry for my poor pancreas.
I know.
Of all the things in the past that before I had this knowledge of all the sodas I drank. I mean, I'm so sorry, pancreas.
I know. I'm thinking about the chocolate chip cookie dough that I used to eat for dinner.
Oh my goodness. I just think of all the sodas, like back in the day when I would drink seriously 6 sodas in one day.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's not abnormal. Yeah.
Poor little guy.
Yeah. Yep. Poor little pancreas.
I know.
So what I want to do today is to just shed some light on some of these diet foods that most people think are healthy and that will help them accomplish their health and weight loss goals, but are actually sabotaging them. Okay. Because they're causing a lot of beta stress and they're really driving up insulin levels and wreaking havoc on our metabolism. So I developed a list of some of the common diet foods that are actually toxic to the pancreas because they actually have so much sugar or flour in them. Remember that any carbohydrate that is not fiber is going to drive up insulin levels. And that's what makes fat. So I'm not just talking about foods that are high in sugar per se in the sweet stuff, but also high in flour products or refined carbohydrates. Okay. So let's take a look at what I've found over the years that I consider to be the top 10 worst diet foods. How's that sound?
Great. Let's talk about it.
Okay, so here it goes. Top 10 worst diet foods. So the first thing is how many people learned that it's important to get a good breakfast if you want to lose weight and keep it off. As a matter of fact, the National Weight Control Registry, which is a registry of people who've lost on average 70 pounds and kept it off for 5 years, which is amazing. One of the things that they all do is that they eat breakfast. And I always recommend eating breakfast. But a lot of us choose cereal for breakfast because this is what the food industry has conditioned Americans and Western culture to think of for breakfast. And this can be a huge problem. Even a seemingly healthy cereal like Raisin Bran high fiber cereal, wouldn't you think that that would be a really good choice?
It used to be my favorite growing up, just saying.
So here's the nutrition information on this. The serving size is 1 cup. Now, I don't know too many people who actually eat just 1 cup of cereal. And I'm not even going to include the milk that most people use with their cereal. So here's the nutrition information. 47 grams of carbs.
Oh my gosh,
And it's high
47 grams of
fiber.
carbs.
7 of them are fiber. 17 grams of sugar, 9 of which are added sugar. So they add sugar to it, and the rest of the sugar likely comes from the concentrated sugar in the raisins. So that's interesting because that would seemingly be the healthiest breakfast cereal you could pick, and it turns out to be full of sugar. Truthfully, I really can't think of any kind of cereal that I'd recommend for breakfast if you want to be a healthy, vibrant person and keep your pancreas healthy, right?
Could I ask a question?
Yeah,
because
sure.
A lot of patients ask about oatmeal. I mean,
Oatmeal.
I get this all the time because it's so debatable because I know what we've talked about, but they always ask me about it because people say, no, I know that you're not supposed to, but I really think, it's just like high in, fiber or whatever.
Yeah.
And so could you just bring it up? Because I know our listeners are thinking of it right now. I can feel it.
Yeah.
I know they're going to say, what about oatmeal?
Yeah. So oatmeal, first of all, it's a grain. So you want to be thinking about it as a grain. So what happens with grains when they get digested? They get metabolized and they raise blood sugar, right?
Okay.
Any kind of grain is going to raise your blood sugar. Now, there is fiber in oatmeal, but there are a lot of carbs that are going to raise your blood sugar and cause pancreatic stress. Now, let's say that you lived in a culture where you were never exposed to processed food. So you never drank sodas and you never drank energy drinks and you never had coffee drinks and you never had cookie dough for dinner. And, you ate mostly healthy proteins, vegetables, real food.
Okay.
Would oatmeal be a problem for you? Probably not.
Probably not. Okay, that makes sense.
Probably not. Because it is a natural food, unless, of course, you get the junk oatmeal that's been totally processed and refined.
So like steel cut oatmeal back in the day before
all of
food.
us developed obesity and became so insulin resistant, it probably would have been just fine. You probably wouldn't gain weight from oatmeal. But in this day and age, when most people have so much exposure to the toxic food industry and everybody's developed so much insulin resistance, I would not choose oatmeal for breakfast.
Okay.
I just wouldn't. Is it a horrible food? No, not really. But is it going to serve you if you're trying to keep your insulin levels low when you have obesity and insulin resistance? Remember, that is a disease. No, oatmeal's not going to serve you all that well, at least not for breakfast. Maybe a little bit later on in the day, but probably not a good breakfast. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. So for example, let's say I'll just go to this one. Let's say that you go to Starbucks. So have you ever found yourself in the Starbucks line in front of all the baked goods and you really want a treat, but you decide to be good and you order something healthy instead? So you choose oatmeal or you choose yogurt and you're super proud of yourself for having avoided the scone or the cranberry bliss bar or whatever they have available or the lemon bar, right?
Yes,
so
I've done that.
I do want to say congratulations to anyone who avoids the obvious junk, right? But these seemingly healthier options can still produce an insulin rush. So the Starbucks rolled and steel cut oatmeal, right? So Starbucks has this. So you might think, okay, oatmeal's a good option. So here's what the marketing message is for this. A blend of rolled and whole grain steel cut oats to customize any way you want with a selection of toppings: dried fruit, nut medley, brown sugar, agave, or blueberries. So here's the thing. Oatmeal with 3 of these toppings, so let's just say you pick the dried fruit and the nut medley and the brown sugar, contains 67 grams of carbs. 34 grams of them is sugar. So oatmeal is in general a little bit more nutritious than a lemon bar, but again, it's still grains that are going to get processed into glucose and raise your blood sugar. And depending on what you put on the top of them, I'm going to talk about dried fruit in just a minute, you can really raise your blood sugar. So healthy may be a better choice than some other crap you could choose, but not really going to serve your weight loss goals. They also have at Starbucks a berry trio yogurt parfait. And lots of people pick this thinking it's good for them. That would seem to be a healthy choice. And it does have 14 grams of protein, which is great, but it also has 39 grams of carbs. 25 of those carbs are from added sugar. So that's crazy. So it's a low-fat yogurt. Remember, if you take the fat out, it's not going to taste good, so they put added sugar in it. So that's definitely really hard on the pancreas. Okay?
Yogurt is so tricky. Yeah, it always has been.
Yeah.
It's tricked me a lot of times. Yep.
Yeah. Well, and that leads me into another one of these worst diet foods, which is low-fat yogurts. So most yogurts are full of sugar, and you have to be really, really careful. So for example, I looked up the Yoplait original low-fat yogurt. Like that would seem to be a really good choice, right? Yoplait low-fat yogurt. Yeah. It has 33 grams of carbs, 26 of which are sugar. As a matter of fact, the second ingredient, just behind cultured, pasteurized, grade A, low-fat milk, is sugar. So it's milk and then it's sugar. Not the best choice if you want to give your poor pancreas a rest. So.
Oh, I know. Gosh, it's so, the yogurt. I remember remember when we did the video with in the grocery stores when we first started doing the the Journey Beyond Weight Loss videos. Yeah. And I was so shocked at the yogurts because you go into the yogurt aisle. I mean, before you know this information, yogurt seems so safe. Yeah. If you're first starting out, and that was like one of my first go-tos is like, okay, well, I'm just going to do yogurt for snacks or yogurt for breakfast. And I thought that was a really safe choice. And when you explained to me the different yogurts, I mean, like I started narrowing down like what was safe, and it didn't seem like anything was a good choice. Yeah. And it was really depressing. Yeah. And so you have to be so careful about yogurt because it is really tricky. Yeah.
It's super tricky. One thing that we found, we actually remember the day that we looked up what were the best kinds of yogurts, or maybe I was doing this with Gabi. We found Skyr, Skyr. It's Icelandic yogurt. Oh. And if you get it unflavored, it's super high in protein and super low in sugar. So for those of you who do want to do yogurts, I would recommend Skyr, Skyr. See if you can find that. Yeah.
The one that I think you and I had discussed are the one that we came up with on the video was the Faye.
Fage, Faye. Yes, and that's a pretty high protein yogurt. You always have to be careful though that you don't get the flavored stuff, because if they flavored it, I was going to
say this is non-flavored, you guys. I mean, this you have to. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But we found that the Skyr is actually higher in protein than the
it
Faye,
is. So, okay. I didn't hear this information. Nice to know.
Yep. I did want to mention that the video that Marshall is referring to is now in the Done with Dieting boot camp. So that's one of the videos. So it's a really fun video where we go through a local grocery store and we pick out all kinds of things that are on the shelves and try to figure out which is the healthiest option. So that's the video that Marshall is referring to.
Oh, the video is so fun too, because we did kind of a challenge.
It was a contest.
Yeah, the contest. That was great. And so we went through a grocery store and tried to pick out, like what we thought were the healthiest foods in the grocery store. And I was so shocked. And we did, one about cereal. And God, that was back before, I had really any knowledge about what was healthy. And man, I was so shocked at what was healthy and what wasn't. That was such a fun video to make. Yeah. But if you guys wanted to. Well, and
the funny thing is you've lost a lot of weight since then too. So it's
gosh, yeah. I don't even know if I would recognize myself on that video. Yeah. But if any of you guys that are listening, if you wanted to, if you guys signed up for the Done with Dieting Bootcamp, you'd be able to see that video, or, some of this information, I guess, would be in that video. But it's just fun to watch. And I really liked making that video. So
yeah, we had a blast. So if you wanted to see it, you just join the Empowered Weight Loss membership. Just go to journeybeyondweightloss.com/yes. And then join the Empowered Weight Loss membership. And the first thing that you get is the 30-day Done with Dieting Boot Camp. And I send you a video every day for 30 days. And we're just teaching you all kinds of awesome stuff. And one of the things that we do is we take you on a run through the grocery store, which is tons of fun.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, it's the 30-day Done with Dieting Boot Camp, you guys, in my opinion, is a must if you guys are starting a weight loss journey. So if you're gonna do it, if you guys are just getting ready to start your weight loss journey, I would suggest doing that first.
Yeah, I just take you through everything you need to know, step by step by step. We have a beautiful workbook that goes with it. We've got like little quizzes and stuff you can test your knowledge, and it's just fun. So, all right, let's move on. So the next thing I want to talk about is dried fruit. Lots and lots of people think that fruit is healthy, and I don't want to vilify fruit at all. Fruit's good for you. But if you juice it or if you dry it, then what you're going to get is all of that sugar that's in the fruit is going to get concentrated. And remember what Ashley Gearhart talked about in our podcast with her. It's concentrated sugar that really, it causes a dopamine hit and it causes an insulin spike. So lots and lots of people have been taught that fruit's good for us and that dried fruit is a convenient way to get the nutrients in when we're on the go. And so I used to give my kids raisins as a healthy snack, healthy in quotes. And I used to add dried cranberries to my salads. And this turns out to be a huge mistake that will jack up your insulin levels and wreak havoc on your weight loss effort. So if you look up the nutrition information for raisins, 1/4 of a cup of raisins has 120 calories, 32 grams of carbs, and 26 grams of sugar. That's a lot of sugar. Wow. And then if you look up craisins, which is basically like dried cranberries, 1/4 a cup has 130 calories, 33 grams of carbs, and 26 grams of added sugar. So they add sugar to it. And we actually have a patient who, he's a guy and he used to work for Ocean Spray. And he used to work in their factory. And he said, oh, yeah, we sprayed sugar all over those things.
Jeez.
I know.
Okay, so just to clarify, because I'm starting to get a little bit sad. I do have a food dehydrator and I do have some fruit trees. And so in the summertime, I dehydrate apples. So are we talking about all dried fruit is bad, like any of it? Like it's like any of it it just concentrates? Or are we just talking about raisins and cranberries?
No, any kind of dried fruit.
Okay.
So dried
Ouch.
plums and all of, dried peaches, all of that stuff. Yeah. Man. Yeah. It's just, you just concentrate the sugar so much that it's a big hit to the brain.
Okay. I'm just trying to accept this information.
I know.
Because it's hard for me to accept because like I said, I just grew up on dried fruit. So, some of this information is hard to accept because, we get used to eating this stuff and so when you have to make changes, some of it is hard to change. So I just wanted to make sure and clarify that it was all dried fruit. Okay, guys, it's all dried fruit, not just cranberries and raisins. Okay.
So if you dehydrate your apples because you want a healthy snack, be careful of the amount. Okay.
Yeah. The reason why I did it, just to let you know, it's just because at the end of the season, I wanted to save some of the apples. And so we would just dehydrate them and then we would, put them in those food saver bags just so we would save them longer. So we had really no idea that we were concentrating them like that. And then there's way too easy to eat too many of them once you get snacking on them. So you just could eat, I can't even tell you how many apples you'd end up eating when you were snacking on them because you just don't think about it. So very easy to overeat when you when you dehydrate them. So good to know, but I just wanted to make sure that we were talking about all dehydrated and dried fruit. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay. Next are these things. I hate these things. 100-calorie snack packs.
Oh, I hate these things too. I don't even think these things taste good. Just saying. I don't like them either.
Oh, these things drive me crazy. They don't taste great, But
They
we're
don't.
led to believe they're a great option for when we have cravings. So,
Yep.
you've got a craving for a candy bar, you've got a craving for ice cream. Just go to one of these 100-calorie snack packs and you can satisfy your craving, and it's only 100 calories, except that they're full of sugar and flour, and they do nothing to get your brain free of cravings for crap food. So you grab one of these packages, and yeah, they have fewer calories and less sugar than a candy bar or a pint of ice cream. But are they really going to serve you in your efforts to get healthy? Not really, because you're going to continue to have cravings for all that sugar, and it will raise your insulin levels and prevent fat loss. So, for example, a Nabisco 100-calorie snack pack has 18 grams of carbs, only one of which is fiber. So I would avoid this kind of junk food like the plague. It's not going to serve you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's, you know what I picture? It's
Yeah.
like the food industry when they're starting to lose you because you're starting to, get wise to these crappy processed foods. It's like their last chance, at it's like, but wait, just just one more chance, just but buy this. And so it's still crappy food, crappy processed food, but it's like their last ditch effort at getting you to buy their product. So so it's kind of funny. Not funny, but kind of funny.
Well, I mean, I can envision a food industry executive going to a Weight Watchers meeting, and the people at Weight Watchers are learning about portion control, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Like, how many points can I have? And so then they go and they're like, we know what we can do. We can develop.
I know, they're so evil. I know.
We can develop a package where the portion's controlled for you ahead of time. That's how that works.
Right?
It's like, it's still junk. And what they know is going to happen is you'll have the 100-calorie snack pack, but that's not going to satisfy your craving. It's just going to trigger cravings for more. So then you'll grab another 100-calorie snack pack. It's only another 100 calories, right?
I know you're gonna eat 6 of them.
Exactly, or more.
I know. They're horrible.
It's awful. So avoid those like the plague. Okay, next thing on the list is Luna bars. So many women love their Luna bars. I've seen them at the gym. I've seen them on the tennis courts. And even our patients have brought them into the office thinking they're a really healthy option. Well, I think Luna bars have to be the junkiest bars out there. So each Luna bar has 29 grams of carbohydrates, 2 of which are fiber, and 11 grams of added sugar. So it's interesting because if you look at the ingredients list, the first ingredient is the protein blend that's in the Luna bar. And then the next 5 ingredients after that are all various forms of sugar. For example, brown rice syrup, cane sugar, apple puree concentrate, chicory fiber syrup, apple juice concentrate. So it's a lot of junk with very little nutritional value and a big stress on your pancreas. So I say let's leave Luna bars on the store shelf where they belong, and hopefully they'll just go away. Right?
Yeah, I don't know that much about Luna bars. I guess I missed that fad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's one of those things I remember it was big. And I do think it is big among women who are, they're athletic and they're out there on the tennis courts or whatever, or they're just looking for a quick
I know what you
pick-me-up.
mean. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. Okay. Next on the list is fruit smoothies.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, yep.
I've had many people tell me over the years that they're stopping at places like Orange Julius.
That's my guilty pleasure for fruit smoothies.
To get a smoothie for breakfast, usually mid-morning or after they've had their coffee. And they go get their smoothie, and this carries them through the rest of the morning and early afternoon so they can work through lunch, right? And the term smoothie has a pretty good reputation in the diet world. People imagine all sorts of vitamins from all that fruit in their smoothies, except that most store-made smoothies are junk. So, for example, at Orange Julius, a large mango pineapple smoothie, how healthy does that sound? Mango pineapple smoothie has 89 grams of sugar.
Oh, man. Oh.
That's a big wallop to your pancreas. Can you even imagine? Oh my gosh.
They don't tell you that, though, when they're serving it to you.
Of course
It just
not.
sounds healthy because it's fruit. And, and especially like kids are I think teenagers are their target market because, they sell it at the mall.
Yeah.
Orange Julius is usually at the mall. I mean, this is what I remember growing up because Orange Julius, I think that it was I think that Orange Julius came out, I think, in the 2000s or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Or maybe like the 90s. And because I remember when it came out, like when it was brand new and it was like a big thing in California, Orange Julius, it was cool. And, we're teenagers and everybody wanted Orange Julius.
Yeah.
And
well, now you know why.
And it was, and it seemed like it was healthy, like Orange Julius. And because I think it had an egg in it, like they threw, like it was orange and that was like the thing. It had an egg in it. Oh. And from what I remember, I think that's what it was, is like orange and egg and something else. And they don't tell you what's in it, though. They don't tell you there's 89 grams of sugar. You just think you're getting something healthy. And so, you buy it.
Yep. So stay away from smoothies. Orange Julius is only one brand. There's lots of other brands out there. And if you make your own smoothies at home, a lot of people do that. Be careful how much fruit you put in your fruit smoothie because, again, it's just like juice. It's concentrating all of that fruit sugar, and that can really set you back. A lot of people just have no idea how much sugar they're really getting, and especially first thing in the morning, that can really wreak havoc on your blood sugar metabolism. So think about your pancreas and avoid those fruit smoothies. Okay, next on the list. Slim Fast. So many people drink Slim Fast shakes thinking they're healthy. I mean, they're supposed to slim you fast, right? That's what the marketing is all about, except they don't. So
Slim Fast shakes aren't healthy?
Oh, nope, not at all. So if you look at the nutrition label, you'll discover that 1 can of Slim Fast has 26 grams of carbohydrates, 3 of which are fiber, and 21 grams of sugar. Oh. As a matter of fact, if you look at the ingredients list, the first ingredient is water and the second ingredient is sugar. How can that possibly slim you fast? It's kind of like drinking a soda.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to work.
Yeah, so we used to call them, when I was going through school, we called them Slim Fat, not Slim Fast.
Oh, really? That's funny.
So I would avoid those ones if you didn't know that. Okay, so that's Slim Fast. Next on the list of worst diet foods is some of the protein bars. You have to be really, really careful with these things. So I already told you about Luna bars, but I'm also talking about like the high protein bars that are meant to really help you build up muscle mass. So for example, most of the Cliff bars are junk. They're full of sugar. And Cliff has a Builder's protein bar. So that's marketed for men and women who are in the gym trying to build up muscle mass. And it's higher in protein than the others. So it has 20 grams of protein, which isn't too bad. But it also comes with 30 grams of carbohydrates, 22 of which come from sugar. As a matter of fact, of the top 4 ingredients in the Cliff Builder's protein bar, 3 of them are sugar. So the first ingredient is a soy protein isolate, and then comes beet syrup, which is sugar, and then brown rice syrup, which is sugar, and then organic cane sugar, which is obviously sugar. So this is not what I would consider a good option if you want to keep your insulin levels low so that you can burn fat. Does that make sense?
Okay, what doesn't make sense to me is beet syrup. Beets are not sweet. So
beets are a root vegetable, and they will concentrate the sugar out of beets. That's one of the it's one of the food industry's tactics for getting sugar. Yeah, haven't you heard of sugar beets before?
No,
they're pretty sweet. They're like one of my favorite.
Okay,
they're like
wait
one
a
of my
minute.
favorite
Maybe I have heard
food.
of a sugar beet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, never mind.
Beet syrup is sugar. And, the food industry has all their processing mechanisms so that they can really sweeten it up. So, yeah.
Okay, maybe I have heard of sugar beets, but I don't know. Threw me off for a second, so.
Yep. Beet syrup, pure sugar.
Okay.
All right. Okay. I've got one more diet food to talk about. You ready?
Yeah.
Spinach wraps.
Wait, what?
Spinach wraps. I was shocked when I learned this because I used to do this all the time. I'd go into the grocery store.
They're not healthy?
And I'd look at the sandwiches and the wraps. And I always thought wraps were better than sandwiches. And I'd see a spinach wrap and I'd be like, oh, that's good for me. That's got spinach in it. And that's supposed to be healthy, right? So I would always pick a spinach wrap. Except I was being deceived, like so many of us are. If you look at a spinach wrap, a 12-inch spinach wrap has 51 grams of carbohydrates, only 2 of which are fiber. So that's almost 50 grams of sugar that your pancreas is going to have to process.
I'm shocked right now.
I know. And then if you look at the ingredients list, it doesn't even have any spinach in it, except for way down on the list where it says dehydrated spinach.
Wow.
It does have something called spinach powder extender seasoning, which has spinach powder and cornstarch and sugar and some yellow and blue dyes in it. Now, if you remember your colors, yellow and blue makes green, right?
Yeah.
So that turns the whole thing green with the dyes. So
this kind of makes me mad right now.
I know, it's really deceiving.
Yeah.
So spinach wrap is not a healthy choice. And so my advice is that if you want the benefit of spinach, just eat real spinach. How simple is that? Which I do almost every day, as a matter of fact.
This is rude.
I know. Does that piss you off?
Yeah, it pisses me off because I've used these, and I mean, you just really think that I think a lot of people use these too, because we've talked, I hear patients talk about this at work, and I mean, God, how deceiving is that?
Really deceiving.
Yeah.
So wraps in general are not a good idea if you want to be a healthy person, because of the flour that's in them will jack up your blood sugars. It's all refined flour. And then just because they put food color in it and call it spinach and a little bit of dehydrated spinach, or, they'll have tomato, like they'll have the red ones that have some sort of vegetable theoretically in them. It's all crap, guys. Just don't.
Well, I'm just going to stick to my lettuce wraps then.
Exactly.
Because I know what they're made out of.
Yeah, exactly. So that's my list of the top 10 worst diet foods. These are theoretically healthy foods that are guaranteed to spike your insulin and leave you frustrated, wondering why you can't lose weight when you're trying to make healthy choices. I hope this helps all of you. If I have any advice, it's check the labels on everything you eat. And even better, try to eat mostly food that doesn't have a food label. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does.
So stay away from processed crap, because you cannot believe what the food industry does to lure you into thinking things are healthy when they're actually not.
They're so tricky.
Yep. All right. That's all for this week. Take care, everyone. And we will talk to you next week. Bye.
All right. Goodbye, everybody.
Hey, if you really want to lose weight and keep it off for good, your next step is to sign up for Dr. Angela's free weight loss course, where you're going to learn everything you need to get started on your weight loss journey the right way. Just head over to journeybeyondweightloss.com/free course to sign up. Also, it would be awesome if you could take a few moments and write a review on iTunes. Thanks, and we'll see you in Journey Beyond Weight Loss.